Now we'll be discussing saving and restoring transient UI state. So as a user expects an activity's UI state to remain the same throughout a configuration change, such as rotation or switching into multi-window mode. However, the system destroys the activity by default when such a configuration change occurs. Now, system is constrained by the limited resources that it has, and it has to take a call sometimes wherein it will be taking overall control of an app. Depending upon the resources available, it will wipe away the UI state. Although in this case, it will wipe away the UI state anyways because the user has decided to, change the configuration or the rotation has happened. Similarly, a user expects UI state to remain the same even if they temporarily switch away from your app to different app. Of course, if you were doing something in one app, let's say you were writing a mail, typing a mail through your Gmail app, and you happen to receive a call or you happen to go to some other app, WhatsApp, to check a message that has come up. When you come back, you want it to have the same configuration where you left it. So this becomes very important for you to have the same configuration as a user. Now, when the user is destroyed due to system constraints, you should preserve the user's transient UI state using a combination of view model or on save instance state. Let's say the activity is getting destroyed because the user decided to move to some other app, and meanwhile the system found out that there are limited resources to preserve the previous activities that the user was involved with. In such cases, these will get destroyed by the system, and before the user moves on to other activities, you should make sure that you are using a combination of view model and on save instance state methods to save the whatever the current state of activity was. Now, what is view model? View model is something which we will discuss in architecture components when we come to architecture components here. And we will be discussing view model when we come to architecture components. But for timing, you can understand that view model is nothing but is a class that is designed to store and manage UI related data in lifecycle conscious way. Of course, we will be discussing on saved instance state method here only. You can also use local storage if you want. Now, this section outlines what instance state is, how to implement the on saved instance method. Instance state is there are few scenarios in which your activity is destroyed due to normal app behavior, which could be probably you as a developer has called a finish method in the activity, and that results in finishing the activity. It could also be when the user is presses the back button on their Android phone and they are consciously asking the app to return back to the previous activity, and in such a case they will not be expecting the activity to retain all the UI or all the state that it had when they press the back button, because they themselves have taken the decision to not use the current activity. So you don't have any extra work to do. The system behavior, both the system and the user concepts of activity instance is gone forever, right? So there's nothing else you need to do here, right? However, if the system destroys the activity due to system constraints such as configuration change or memory pressure, then although the actual activity instance is gone, the system remembers that it existed. So system will keep an eye on all the activities that existed, and if the user attempts to navigate back to the activity, the system creates a new instance of that activity using a set of saved data that describes the state of activity when it was destroyed. Right, and that is how that is what this method called on save instance is for. Right, so this method is called every time the user is changing the configuration, and you as a developer can utilize this method to save whatever you want to save, so that the user gets the same state of activity. The save data that the system uses to restore the previous state is called instance state and is a collection of key value pairs, and you use a bundle object. We've already discussed this briefly earlier. Bundle is a class, and you can create an object of this class and use key value pairs to store the data in this class. By default, the system uses the bundle instance state to save the information about each view object in your activity layout, such as the text value entered into an edit text widget. So if your activity instance is destroyed and recreated, the state of the layout is restored to its previous state with no code required by you. However, your activity might have more state information that you would like to restore, such as member variables that track the user's progress in the activity. Now, in order for the Android system to restore the state of views in your activity, each view must have a unique ID supplied by Android ID attribute. So every view has an ID. We have already seen this in XML. You provide an ID to all the views so that the Android system can restore the state of the views in the activity. The bundle object isn't appropriate for preserving more than a trivial amount of data. You must remember this, that bundle object is only going to help you to store key value pairs, probably strings or integers or floats, something which is very very trivial. But if you want to because it basically uses the serialization on the main thread. But if you want to preserve more than very small amount of data, you should take a combination approach of preserving data through persistent local storage. You can use local storage of the Android phone, the onSaved instance method, and view model class. We will be discussing this later and seeing how to make this happen. Now, save simple lightweight UI state using onSaved instance state. We'll discuss this in our next video. See you.